Hi, I'm Sharon with the Clean Language Institute, and I'm here with Penny Tompkins and James Lawley, and we are going to talk a little bit about Clean Convergence 2022, what Clean Convergence is, and why you might want to join us. So welcome, Penny, welcome, James.
Thank you, Sharon. Well, good to see you.
Nice to have you here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Across the pond.
So previous focus areas of Clean Convergence have been things like working with choice points within a symbolic modeling session, working with symptoms and systems, how to look at those, pay attention to those with symbolic modeling, big stuff, defining moments, life patterns even. And last year we did some working with emergence. So this year in planning Clean Convergence, you guys mentioned taking a deep dive into the modeling process. And Penny, you were just saying something really interesting about modeling as a
quest.
Yeah.
And if you know the roots of the word for question, it is quest. So a question sends a person's attention on a quest to find an answer. And that is the core process that we do in symbolic modeling, asking the clean language questions, because we want to direct the client's attention through our question to a place where they can just have insight. They can discover something new about themselves, where our question has the maximum opportunity for them to learn. So a lot of the art and skill of what we do and how we do modeling is by learning where to direct the client's attention. And it's an art form, and in the training in 2022, gosh, just a couple of months away, then we are going to spend time with a group of modelers in how we do that, and how people don't have to do it the way we do it, but to help participants find their way of asking those questions so that they have maximum effect for the client and their metaphors. And that is, we're going to be doing that in a number of ways, but that is essentially going to be the core of what we do, because that is the core of what we do.
So the quest of the question, and the question sending the client on a quest and being able to track that. Yeah. Thank you. So James, I was hoping that you could speak a little bit about the structure, like how are you and Penny going to be taking us, because I'm including myself in this too. Clean Convergence is my advanced training playground. So how are you going to be taking us through this learning?
Well, you know, I think there's a very interesting developmental model called the Dreyfus and Dreyfus developmental model that looked at how people go from novices through beginners, through competent, through proficient to experts. And the key thing about that is you have to have a different learning environment or way of learning as you go through those levels. And so classic training is great at the early stages, but this module is aimed at the higher levels. And so what we're going to do, instead of us delivering a training, we're going to look at some videos of live sessions, and we're going to take them apart, and we're going to debrief what happens. That means we invite the client to go on this quest or this quest and this quest. How are we making those choices? We're going to use group activities to work with some live between the group and for people to recognize their own choices and learn in the moment from their own choices and from their colleagues. And then, of course, there'll be activities people will do, and they'll be getting personal feedback during those activities from us and the other expert resources who are helping us out. So that'll be the main kind of ways that the process will work.
So when this is a little bit different environment and we're using this idea of a quest, what would you like the participants of this training to come away being able to do that might be a little different from what they can do now?
Well, I would say for everyone on all the participants on the training to take their next developmental step. We operate from a developmental way of thinking, which means that you can only take your next step. So whatever level someone comes in at, if they can leave having moved on their knowledge, their practice, one step, and maybe more, but that is what I'm after, because that's how you build. And once you've taken a few steps, it becomes easier to take the next and the next. And that's what I want to see happening with support from all of us. What about you, James?
We've been asking clean language questions for over 25 years. And the interesting thing is, they're the same clean language questions that we asked 25 years ago. And they're the same clean language questions that people get on their first clean language training. So what makes the difference between, as people rise up that developmental curve, is how they use those questions. Where do they send people? What kind of quest do they send them on? And in order to do that, it's a selectional process. How does the facilitator select out of all the information the client's given you, and always giving you a massive amount, how do they select this piece to ask the question of that invites them to go off on that quest? And what's happened over the 25 years, we just got better and better at selecting the piece that is a valuable piece for that particular client at that particular moment. That's really what we, our experts, are doing. And all of those wonderful topics that you talk about that we've covered in the last 6 years, every single one of them is predicated on our ability to model and then apply it in those application areas. And so the modeling skill is the absolute bedrock of everything that we do. And there's no coincidence that we called it symbolic modeling.
Yeah, and it seems to me over the years of learning this, because there's always something new. There's always a nuance, a way to get to something valuable for the client a little more quickly by noticing something different, by, like you were saying, Penny, by pointing their attention just in a little bit more refined manner. And one thing that with Clean Convergence that's been really interesting to watch and wonderful over the years is seeing quite a variety of learners, from people who are just really beginning to dig into symbolic modeling to those who have been using it with clients for years, and the group really working with each other and everyone learning. That's been really brilliant. So is there anything else that you might want to say to anybody who's watching this video to encourage them if they're wondering, gosh, is this for me?
Well, we'll be looking at symbolic modeling. We'll be taking, the context mostly of working with a client, but actually developing the skills to model in this way is just supremely useful anywhere. Yesterday, we were talking to a special needs teacher in a school. and how the ability to model what's happening in the classroom, what's happening with the individual children who need her help, is the value of being able to see that going on and not get caught in the detail and the story that's going, but to be able to pick out the vital pieces, the patterns, the behaviors between not only their children, but the interaction between their teachers and that comes from ability to learn how to model. And so here was an example. She was observing a class and having to write a report on it, but what she was effectively doing was applying all these modeling skills to that without asking a single clean language question. And I'm sure she could not have pinpointed such really interesting things without having that ability to pick out the stuff that comes from a modeler's perspective.
Yeah.
Do you want to add anything?
I'll just, for me, one thing I love about Clean Convergence and this format that we're going to be doing is that the time we have for question and answers, because people learn a lot. You can plan a training, you can plan all sorts of things, but people can ask about what's relevant in the moment, and we can all learn from that, and then that will spark something in someone else, so that people's learning needs are being met in the moment by having the time just to sit and discuss things for a little bit. So as well as doing, one thing I like about this event is having the time together to do that.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
that's one of the special things for me.
Thank you. Well, this has been really nice. So what we're really looking at is I like that expression, the bedrock of how to help a client quest and find out more about what they'd like to have happen and bring it into their landscape. Super. So I did want to just end with that Clean Convergence 2022 will be in January. We do have a personal development retreat that we're taking waitlist names for. So if you're interested in the retreat, please let us know. And we do still have places on this advanced training where Penny Tompkins and James Lawley will be really getting into the meat of the kind of modeling and a kind of questing that we do in the symbolic modeling process. And again, we just ask that you have a working knowledge of clean language, symbolic modeling, and understand how to utilize the PRO model, because that is an important aspect of this work. And is there anything else that you guys would like to add before we finish our little chat today?
No, just thank you for inviting us to come along and have a chat.
Yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and thank you both. Yeah, years of just such great learning, and I can't wait for January.
Me too. Thank you.